I got an email request from Keith Butler asking me to do clarified butter as a video. So Keith, this one's for you. Clarified butter is really easy to make, and it keeps really well. So you can make a big batch of it and keep it in the fridge and use it for a long time. And the advantage to using clarified butter versus regular butter is that clarified butter doesn't burn nearly as easily as regular butter. Butter has milk solids in it, which when you're making brown butter is what browns and gives all that great flavor, but it also burns really easily. So when you clarify butter, the key thing is to get rid of those milk solids and get rid of any extra water in it, so you just have the fat in the butter, and that has a very high smoking point, and so you can sear things. It's used a lot in Indian food. It's also a very elegant thing in restaurants for dipping lobster in. You know, you don't have that foaminess in the butter. It's just that nice, clean, yellow, delicious, buttery goodness. So I'm going to show you how to make it. And the key to making clarified butter, first of all, is to do a fairly big batch at a time. You can't just clarify 1 or 2 tablespoons, because what you need is some separation so you can skim the solids off the top and get the fat out without getting the water in. So the other key thing is to use sort of a smaller pan. You don't want to use a big pan, because if it's all just in a very thin layer on the bottom, you're going to have trouble skimming off the different layers. So what you need to do is just put butter in an appropriately sized pan, sort of a smaller one, and then put it on a low flame. You don't want to use a high heat, because you really want the separation to occur very slowly so that there's no mixing of the solids and the water, because you really want to keep it a very clean process. So I'm just going to throw in 2 sticks of butter right now into this small saucepan and turn the flame on low. And then we're just going to wait. Okay, the butter's been on low heat for several minutes now, and it's all melted down. And one of the things you need to remember is also not to agitate the pan. You don't want to stir the butter, you just want to let it sit there and separate out. So I've turned off the heat and let it sit for a couple minutes so the layers can form even more. And now what I'm just going to do is use a ladle to scoop off the foamy white part on the top, which is the milk solids. And I want to make sure not to agitate it too much, because I don't want to reincorporate the milk solids or bring the water up from the bottom into the layer of clarified butter in the center. So I actually use like a little circular motion just with the very bottom of my ladle, just touching the foam, just to kind of get it to gather a little bit. And I'm not stirring it, but I'm just touching the foam, and that's going to help me scoop it out very carefully into a separate little bowl. And this takes some practice, and you may end up with a few flecks of milk solids in there. You want to try and get it all out. If you don't get it all out, you're still probably going to do a lot better than you would be with just plain butter. The burn factor is going to be much reduced. And once you get all of those milk solids off the top, you may lose a little bit of the butter in the process, but try not to lose too much of it. Clean off your ladle, either rinse it off or just wipe it off really quickly, because you don't want to dunk milk solids into the center. And then go ahead and carefully scoop out that golden clear, that's the actual clarified butter, into a separate bowl. And you don't want to dredge it up from the bottom either, because there is a layer of water on the bottom that you don't want to incorporate into this. So you're really just kind of trying to skim off the middle layer now. We've already gotten rid of the top layer, so now we're getting rid of the middle layer. And that's the part you're going to keep. And I've got a little bit of milk solids in mine right now, because I'm doing this a little too fast. But when you get it all out, what you can do then is store the clarified butter in the refrigerator. It will form into a solid block, and then you can scoop out just the amount you need for any given recipe, a tablespoon, a teaspoon, a cup. And then you'll discard the water and the milk solids, and there you have it. It's not the most economical way to use butter, but it's definitely good for some recipes, and it's good to know. So thanks for the request, Keith.